I'm a planner. Most importantly, I'm a life planner. A planner that helps you look at different transitions in life. Have you ever thought about that? We transition through various stages of life. We get old, sometimes we get ill, and at some point we die. It's not something we like to think about. But because I see people at different stages of their lives, in particular when dealing with healthcare challenges, which can be tough without a plan, it's your life. Do you have a plan? If you get sick, what would you want or wish? If your loved one had a sudden illness or accident, ended up in hospital and couldn't speak, can you honestly say you know what their wishes are? This is life. It's dynamic. I want you to think about that. So I've created a resource to help you. It's called It's Your Life. Join me. Let's talk about how you can plan your life now.
It's your life.
It's your life.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you so much. I appreciate the love that's been coming today in so many different ways. And I just want to thank you and welcome you to the launch. Not the typical type of book launch, but the launch of my book, It's Your Life. It really is a pleasure for me to have you here this evening, and it won't be a very long evening, but it will be an evening I hope that will be very meaningful for you as much as it is for me. So while I sit here just a few more minutes waiting for some more people to come in, I see a lot of people joining in, and I'm really grateful for your presence this evening. As we get ready to begin, I'm going to put out the poll questions because I want you to start thinking about that before we get into the discussion. So you can look out for that. Right now I'm launching the poll for all of you who are here on Zoom. So it's your life. Do you have a plan? I've been playing that video over and over again. And I hope you guys watched it and, really started to think about what it was saying to you. So let me give you a little bit of background about me in case you don't know who I am, because there are a lot of people here gratefully on this broadcast today who I don't know. So I guess you heard about me either through the video or someone shared a link with you. And so my name is Patrice Dwyer, and I like to tell people that I wear many, many hats, and truly I do. I wear many hats in my personal life, and I wear many hats in my professional life. But one of the hats that will cross over is that hat of caregiver. I've been a caregiver, I would say, for most of my life. And it's in that role as caregiver that the thought process started for this book. And also on a personal journey that I had as caregiver for my mother, which kind of really pushed me to get this in print. So I know 2020 was a year of challenge for a lot of people. For me, it was a year of deep introspection and a year that brought forth this book. And I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of it because I feel like it's going to be a tool that is truly going to help so many people to start thinking about things that we don't normally like to think about. So let me just share a little bit. So in my professional life, I am using the term these days as transformation therapist because I truly do a lot of different things. I'm a lymphedema therapist. I'm a cancer coach, a patient navigator. I practice holistic therapies, reflexology, Reiki, manual lymphatic drainage. I do a number of different things. And I sit with people, most importantly, and I speak with them daily. I see a lot of people as they're entering difficult phases in their lives, in particular with healthcare challenges. And I see a lot of the issues that they have coming up because oftentimes they just have not made a plan about anything. And so I like to say, and I'm going to stress today, and somebody reminded me to make sure I bring that up. It's important to make a plan before you get sick. It's critical, right? So today we're going to talk a lot about planning, but I wanted to share my journey with the person to whom this book is dedicated, and that's my mother. If you were paying attention to the slideshow earlier today, you would, just a while ago, and I will play it again. You'll see a dedication at the end. That's the same dedication that I've put in the book for my mother. And today marks 2 years since the anniversary of her death. So it was a bit of a challenging morning for me and wanted to prepare to come and share with you guys, but I think it's the perfect day to speak about that journey as caregiver, as daughter, as professional, because I was wearing many hats while I was working with her. But it was challenging for me to wear the daughter hat. It really was. And so I had to, for most of it, wear my professional hat, where I had to sit there and honor the wishes that she had, even though there are a few things that I did not agree with. So she had a sudden illness, she had a stroke, and we had a year journeying with her until her passing, exactly a year. And along the way, I learned quite a bit. And I'm super grateful to her for being very clear on what her wishes were and for being very clear communicating those wishes to me. And so I found that it was very useful and made the journey a whole lot easier, being able to just execute what it was that she wanted me to execute. So that's a little bit about that. And so I'm really going to put out some thought-provoking things for you guys to think about tonight. And I want to see a very interactive session. We have quite a few people here. I see people on Facebook as well. I'm going to try to multitask to see if I can answer questions there that come up. But this is a book launch. Now, I've never launched a book before, so I'm just going with what my spirit has led me to do tonight. But one of the first things I want to do is truly acknowledge all the people that helped to bring this together. I know sometimes people put acknowledgements at the end, but for me, I want to acknowledge right now all the people who helped me in the journey of writing this book. But before I do that, I just want to let everybody who's on Zoom know that if at any time you want to have your voice be heard, or even your face be heard while your voice is being heard, you just raise your hand and let me know. And I will bring you over to say whatever it is that you need to say.
in this. So feel free to raise your hand and let your voices be heard. I just don't want to be the only one here chatting tonight. It's an open interactive session. So I welcome your thoughts. And for those of you here who have already purchased the book and who are in the process of doing your own plan, I'd love to hear your feedback right here as well. So I'm going to do what I guess some authors do when they're launching their book, is to just read something. I'm just going to read the acknowledgement. I'm going to read it as is in the book. I think it's important for me to put it out there like that, because I could not have done this without the support. And not only the support, but the experience gained from some of the people in this book. So I would like to thank the many persons who throughout the years entrusted me with the privilege to accompany them on their health journeys, even through to the end of their lives, especially Mommy, Aunt Amy, Joan, Judith, Emancia, Nicole, Isilda, Gloria, Lawrence, Andrea B, Andrea C, Keisha, George, Lorna, Oliver, and Errol, and so many others. It is all of you who have inspired me to create this guide, to ensuring we all have a clear understanding of our wishes and easily accessible instructions and directives for our loved ones. You forever remain dear to me. Special thanks also to the following persons and entities for their personal insight and professional expertise in providing me with the necessary information to move this booklet from dream to reality. Dr. Christine Thorpe, Latoya West Blackwood, Rosamond Walker, Elizabeth Haddon, Professor Denise Eldemeyer Shearer, Dr. Dingle Spence, Kamala McWinney, Peter John Asher, the Palliative Care Association of Jamaica, the Artist Tree Digital and Craft Store, and so many others, and most recently on board, Everything Creative, who did that awesome animation for me, and another one which will be coming up. I was teasing you guys with that earlier, late yesterday evening, and we're going to discuss that as well. So I see some things coming up in the chat here. Thank you everyone. I am going to remind you all how you can get the book, and I'm also going to remind you that for today, for all of you who joined in to this session, there's a special offer for the book. I'm going to put in the chat the special code. The special code for the promo in the chat. So I'm going to put that in there, and you put that in, and you'll get the discount for today for joining in on this chat in honor of my mom. So, have you all answered the poll questions? Who here has a plan? Show of hands to tell me all those who have a plan. A plan with regards to your healthcare, with regards to your life, to your living. I know so many people have a plan with regards to, what's going to happen when I'm gone. They have a will, they may have some of those things in place. Some people may have attorneys and estate planners. And that is great. And I talk about that in the book as well. But tonight, my focus is on a plan for you, a plan for your healthcare. And I want to know, do you have a plan? I see all these people coming in. Thank you, Natalie. She says I was a great help to her daddy. He was a lovely, lovely gentleman. Thank you, everybody. I'm trying to multitask here, so forgive me. This is not going to be your typical formal type webinar service. But yeah, I thank you. I thank you for all those awesome comments. So as we go into, I see people say they're working on a plan and their plan needs to be revamped. I want to share something with you. I'm going to share the full video that I teased you with yesterday. I'm going to share it, and then I want you all to comment and let me know what you think. And let me know if you've ever been in a position like that. So I'm going to share that with you shortly. while I bring it up. Just give me a moment here. It feels weird talking to myself, people. Anyone want to say anything? Just let me know. Alrighty. Okay. Alrighty. All right, guys, I'm going to share the video now, and I look forward to your comments after it's done.
If anything happens to me, do what you want. It doesn't matter to me. I leave it to both of you to make the right decision.
Have you decided if you want to put in a feeding tube?
Yes, I think we should.
No, don't do it.
Maybe I should have chosen something. I don't want this feeding tube. I don't want my children fighting each other over me.
It is important to think about your healthcare choices so you can guide your loved ones on how to support you in times of health crisis. Without a plan, you create serious challenges that can impact your quality of life and create rifts in your family as a result. It's Your Life is a workbook that helps you to make a plan so that your will be done and you can maneuver the uncertainties of life and prepare for all outcomes. Get your copy today. Your life could depend on it.
Yeah, your life could depend on it. So what do you guys think about Miss Bell and her decision? Has anyone here ever had to make a decision like that on behalf of family without having a clear understanding about what it was that they wanted? Anyone? Miss Bell has some choices to make like myself, indeed. So one of the things that that I hear a lot, I see a lot of people like Miss Bell, in particular here in Jamaica. So we all know that here, having a conversation about making plans, especially plans that may involve something that people consider not pleasant. For example, healthcare and death. Because saying those things in Jamaica is like, boy, if I say it, I will call it down on the person or calling it down on myself. But I'll share a little, I guess it's a little joke with you if you think about it. Just open your mouth and saying, I'm going to get pregnant is not going to make you get pregnant. In the same way, just talking about being sick or dying is not going to let you die. So it's important to sit down and have a conversation, right? So I've heard a lot of people say, hey, I don't really care, you know, I'll leave it up to you to decide what it is that I want done, right? The challenge with that is, just like Miss Bell, if you have two people in your life, two people who are responsible for making choices for you, if you have two children or you have siblings or whomever, if you're not clear about what your wishes are, you put them in a position, just like Miss Bell's two children, in a position to have to make a decision. And oftentimes they don't know what to do. They have no idea what to do. And it can cause challenges. It can cause rifts in the family, right? She should have made a plan. I see people here saying, yeah, some people say I've stated my plans, but they're not written down. It's important to write it down. Because just saying it, and a lot of us say it, I mean, I was saying it for a while too. And then I started writing it down. I mean, on the pages of this book, there may not be enough space for everyone to write down every single thing, but it's definitely going to be an excellent guide for you to figure out where to begin. And that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. Where do we begin? Do we even understand what it means for ourselves, some of these things that are out there? So for example, Miss Bell's situation was, she had a sudden illness, and for whatever reason, Dr. Greg now had to be considering putting in a feeding tube. And he put that to her family. So maybe they didn't even know what it was. Maybe they had to ask him to explain what it was. Maybe a lot of us don't know what it was. I know I have some doctors in the group here, in the audience here tonight, some who I hope will speak up and share their voices too. But oftentimes we don't know because we just don't have any idea what some of these things are, or that we may even need any of these things. So we think about the period that we're living in right now, which is COVID. And we've had a lot of people enter hospital. We know we have a lot of people who lost loved ones, you know, and it really is challenging, especially if you are unable to go into hospital to be with them or to see them or to talk to them, and even to try and figure out what decisions need to be made. But what if you had a loved one who said, even with this, I don't think I would ever want to be put on a ventilator? Do you have any idea what that process is like? Or, you know, anything about it at all, that you could have a conversation with your loved one about that? Or you wouldn't even know if your loved one wanted that or not. So I think that my idea is to ensure that everybody starts to think about certain things. So I've put in the book just little prompts to kind of have you go a little deeper with yourself first. And what I encourage is that after you go deeper with yourself and kind of try and figure out, maybe I would want this or not want that, you can create a guide, at least a guide for your loved ones. We know over time things may change. You may change your mind about what it is that you want. But if you start that way and just have a guide there for yourself, it's easier to have a conversation with your loved ones after. And I encourage that too. Sit with family and have conversations. So somebody wants to talk? Tanisha? Tanisha, you can speak, you can unmute yourself. You're unmuted. You have a question, Tanisha? I'm not hearing you.
Hear me now?
Yes, we hear you now. Yes.
Oh, I guess my headsets are not working, the system. Yep.
Welcome, Tanisha.
Welcome. Wonderful book. As a healthcare worker and a nurse, I've said this multiple times, please have a plan. It creates a lot of chaos when there's not a plan. And as a nurse, I've gotten caught up in the middle of who to make the right decision if it's not in written paper. And sometimes we have stuff documented, and one family member, for example, you just did the peg tube, the feeding tube, wants it, and the other say, no, it's in his written plans that he doesn't want it. So, legally we have to go by what's written. So I recommend doing it, because I literally had to have security because family are fighting over making the right decision. So as a nurse, please have a plan. Write your plan. I have my plan. My kids have their plan. My parents, wonderful book to start a conversation. And also another issue that I'm encountering right now, sometimes it depends on the culture. They're not comfortable talking about it. But with my current patients, we check up on them every 3 months to make sure they haven't changed their mind if they decide not to do a plan. So, just being consistent. Thank you very much, Patrice.
Thank you, Tanisha. And how old are your sons?
19 and 17.
19 and 17, and they have a plan.
Yep, from birth.
Yeah, there you go.
Before they were a month old.
Thank you for sharing, Tanisha.
All righty, you're welcome.
And that's the thing. When we think about young people making a plan, it's kind of weird to think a young person, someone 20 and 17-year-old having a plan. Well, I have a plan. My 8-year-old understands my plan. And the whole idea is before we get to a place in life where we have a challenge, we plan first. But I'll stop and I'm going to let Latoya share. Latoya, welcome. Latoya has
Hi.
been foundation for me. She has helped me on so many different levels on this journey. And I know she has her own personal experiences with planning. Welcome, Latoya.
Hi. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I'm happy, just as I think everybody else is who's on this call, just, marking this remarkable moment with you. So congratulations on pushing forward with something that has been close and dear to you and now sharing it with others as a tool. I mean, what I would say is, we're partners in navigating health services, and we both share, I think, what started out as a personal experience for you. It was with your mom. For me, it was with my mom as well. And we're united in terms of the outlook on using the different tools to create safe spaces for people to have maybe what are difficult conversations. For me, it was difficult because the context is where most of us who grew up in traditional Jamaican households, even with parents who are well educated, intelligent, and all of that, there is a genuine fear of death.
Yeah.
And so things like planning for end of life and these kind of discussions, they are difficult. That was my experience. So I spoke to my mom about my dreams, about planning for this, planning for that. But when it came to the time where she got sick, and it was time for us to discuss this very important thing, I saw a side of her that I never saw before. And I think what you have done with this book, and just the details that you've gone into to create it, I think it's really going to be a really practical tool for families, for friends, to have those difficult conversations, because I think it's still difficult for a lot of people. And for those who it's not difficult for, I think it will be a welcome tool so that they don't have to run off to do everything on their own. So without, carrying on and on, I just, as I said, love to congratulate you on doing it. I love what you did with the animation. I think that is going to help you to reach a whole different audience in terms of people who might not be introduced to the book right away, but they can identify with the scenario. I think it's very creative and very innovative. So I'm just very excited to see, what this is going to go on to do. And I think it's going to be really helpful, and it's culturally relevant in parts too. So I'm just very excited about this.
Thank you, Latoya. And thank you, everyone who has the book. Latoya wrote that little epilogue section in the back of the book. And one of the things that struck me about that is you mentioned in Latoya that, I guess people tend to think that when we talk about estate planning as well, that if you don't have a big piece of land or something here in Jamaica,
yes,
put down, then you have nothing to plan for. And I like to say to people, well, you have a big piece of real estate that you need to plan for, and that's your own body, right? That piece of real estate here on this planet, you need to plan for it. You need to understand the things that you like or you don't like, whether you like to be touched or not. Those are the types of things that are really, really critical for us to understand. And that will help us to decide, what our own wishes are. So thank you so much, Latoya, for everything.
You're amazing.
Thank you. Yes, Diane, analogy with our bodies as real estate, but it is. I mean, and I find it so interesting that for those of us who pay close attention to care in the sense of, pay close attention to pedicures and hairstyles and all these things, But to talk about our healthcare, it's a challenge. It's a big challenge, you know. I'll share something with you guys as I'm here and, you know, speaking about this point. How I met Latoya in particular was through the Palliative Care Association of Jamaica, which I'm a member, and I see Dr. Spence here as well. She graciously wrote, you know, something, praise for my book. That's how I met Latoya, through palliative care. And currently, I'm training as what's called a death doula, an end-of-life planner. And I've said it to some people and they're like, what on earth is a death doula? Well, there are so many different roles that a death doula can play. But we do help people, even people who are not on their road to dying, as we would say, just to make a plan about our lives. And so it's interesting, you know, now, you know, saying to people that, hey, I'm doing this, you know, and getting the reaction from them like, what on earth is this, you know? But it's critical and we need it more and more now. We need people who can sit with us and help us to kind of figure stuff out, to get organized. There's a section of the book where I talk about getting organized. And that doesn't just mean figuring out what our wishes are for our healthcare and what our families' wishes are, but organizing our stuff. One of the hardest things for family to do, right? When a loved one is seriously ill or a loved one has died, especially if that loved one, like so many people are in Jamaica, very, very secretive about anything. We don't like to tell people our business at all, right? If you suddenly get ill and your family has to be in your business, that is, they have to go through your phone, or somebody has to man the phone, somebody has to go through your documentation to figure out what it is that you have, to figure out how we're going to pay for this, to figure out, do you have insurance, whatever. If you don't want people combing through your stuff, you need to have your stuff organized, and you need to select somebody, a person who is going to be that person that you're going to trust to go in and handle those things if anything should happen to you suddenly, right? So we're talking about now just every little thing you have, how much land you have, where is it, right? Where you put it, all that, where are the titles and all of those things, how many insurance policies you have. One of the things that struck me when my mother passed away, I was not in awareness at the time. That, you know, even to claim for a life insurance policy, there are certain things you have to have in place, and the physical policy is one of them, you know. And I know people who take out life insurance policies and they don't even want their family members to know, and they're the beneficiary, you know. And even if you have a suspicion, oh, my mother has a life insurance policy, let me go down to Guardian Life or Sagicor or whomever, getting free ads right now, to go and figure out if she has. They're not going to give you any information, right? Because it's not your policy, even though you're a beneficiary. So some of these little things that we're not in awareness of, and we need to be. So just as how we need to organize our lives, need to put things together in a certain kind of way. You know, we spring clean, we go do physicals once a year. We need to look at our stuff once a year and make sure it's organized. We also need, as we're talking about selecting someone that you're going to trust enough to go through your stuff, we also need to select someone to speak for us if something happens. It's critical. So we saw the scenario of Miss Bell, and we recognized that Miss Bell, you know, just wanted to not burden either of her children and wanted to keep it equal and say, hey, both of you, this is what you do. But it created a challenge because they both wanted different things and they didn't know what she wanted. So what Miss Bell really needed to was to select somebody who, in the book, I refer to that individual as your healthcare advocate. Some people may use proxy, but somebody who can speak for you if you can't speak for yourself. Somebody who knows clearly what your wishes are, right? So they can clearly articulate that to the people who need to hear that. Right? That could be your doctors or whomever is on your care team or your other family members. But I also encourage people that after you select that person, you don't just keep it to yourself, Some of us will select people and them know they don't know that they're selected. But aside from that, if you select someone, it is also important that you have a conversation with family about who you selected and why. I suggest that, so that in case of emergency, everyone is clear. Mommy selected X individual, and that person may not even be a family member, because maybe you may recognize that. For example, your husband may melt under pressure. He can't make clear decisions about your health, but your sister can. And you don't want him to figure out just in the moment when something happens that, oh, I asked my sister to do this for me. You want to have a conversation and explain to him, honey, you know, I love you and you're responsible for everything else. But in terms of being able to do what it is that I want done for my body, I don't think you're able to do that, you know? And so if you have those conversations beforehand, number one, it's not a surprise. And even if people have feelings about it, carrying feelings about it, it would have been discussed in a setting before anything should happen. So how many people here, show of hands, have selected someone to speak on their behalf in case anything happens to them? Okay. Looking good so far. There are a number of people who still haven't done that. Did you ever think about that beforehand? Somebody says they did, but they may need to change and update. And yes, this is one of the things I say in the book, and I just said it. Once a year, when we're doing the things that we do annually for ourselves, whether that be our physical, whatever, it's a good time, or spring cleaning, to just kind of look over the things that we've put down and recognize that, well, there may be some things that you need to change. There may be some people who may no longer be around that you've selected, or things just have shifted and you need to make that kind of change. So I see, hold on a second. Beverly, do you want to say something, or you're just putting up your hand to say you selected someone? Ah. All right. Yeah, so that is critical, that you are able to select somebody to speak for you.
Patrice, another question from me. Could you speak on this activity in the context of relationships, not just marriages? Because why I ask that question is that I think, like, maybe money for some people, this topic, I don't see it falling in the romantic, but it's very important. And so I wonder if, you know, the kind of traditional counseling that people get, for example, going into marriages, or if it is in our relationship, but it's maybe on this more serious end, you know, if these aren't conversations that they need to be having. Because you might assume, I think you said it earlier, that, okay, because we are married or because we are dating on the serious side, you might assume that you are the person that would be in that position of authority or to speak on behalf of, but there's nothing explicit, there's no explicit understanding between you. So could you speak on that?
Well, yeah, I think definitely in general, it's a conversation that we have to have with the people who are closest to us. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday who pointed out that she had a challenge because she was estranged from her family, and didn't know who to put as next of kin for anything. And it's not something a lot of us even think about, but in a situation like that, you have a common law partner or someone that you're close to, whether you may not be married, but you know, you live together. These are some of the things that must be discussed with each other. What's going to happen if anything should suddenly happen to me? I'm living with you, I'm a part of your life now. Are you the person that I want to speak for me? Because for that person, it could well be. But if something happens and I end up in hospital and mommy comes along to say, this is my child, you're not married to her, so I'm the one who's supposed to do this. No, one of the things that I have in the book is a section in the back that has some forms that we can look at. And on one of those forms is a power of attorney for healthcare. So for whomever you choose as your healthcare advocate, it's something I suggest you have a conversation with, depending on which jurisdiction you're in. I know in the US, living wills and all of those things, are appropriate. Here, there are some, some other legal things we'd have to deal with. And I'm going to have more programs to invite persons who can speak more to the legal aspect of things to discuss those things in depth. But I suggest you have a conversation and make it official to select this person as your healthcare advocate and to ensure that it is in writing somewhere and certified in a way that they can act on your behalf, so you don't have those kinds of issues coming up. Or you don't have mommy on one side saying this person wants to kill my picnic or them doing this. And I know my picnic don't want that, yet mommy didn't know what you wanted. And you didn't tell her that that's what you wanted, So thank you, Latoya, for bringing that up. I mean, there's so many different dimensions to all of this stuff. And this is why I felt it important for us to start having conversations about these things and stop avoiding them. We really walk around trying to avoid so much, and what are we getting from it? I see so many people right now hurting, and sometimes we could have avoided that hurt if we just made some plans. Yeah. Anybody else have any other questions or anything to share? Or is everybody in deep thought right now with everything that I've put out there? Anything to share? Somebody has their hand up. Andrea? You can unmute, Andrea. Hi, Andrea.
Good job, Patrice. I'm thinking, for me, having a living will or statement where somebody knows exactly what it is that I want is not just a matter of for death.
No.
And I think it's more a matter of for my life, because it might not be an illness unto death. I may just be incapable at that time. And so I may heal and recover quite well. So I think it's also important that people understand that this is not just something that will ultimately lead to your death, but something you may actually live beyond.
It's important that you said that, because it's what I was kind of saying before. Yes, we do have all these plans in place for our deaths. We have plans in place. We have wills and all of that for some of us who do that. But not very often do we think about planning for our lives, for living. That's why it's called It's Your Life. For me, that's critical. That period in between when you're alive, even if you're seriously ill and you can't speak for yourself, it's important to know that there's something in place that people can honor your wishes, right? I've seen people that I've worked with in serious situations, and they're not even wanting to open their mouths to tell family sometimes about the pain that they're in or the decision that family is making for them. They don't want it, but at that point they kind of feel like, well, I didn't say anything before and I don't want to upset them now, because I know seeing me like this is already upsetting for them. So you have people who will process in that way as well, and I get it, and maybe for some of them at that point, it's more difficult then to make a shift, but they suffer sometimes just because they didn't feel that they were able to speak or could speak. And so this is why, for me, sometimes having someone who can help you to go through that plan is important. There are times I've had to speak up on people's behalf to their families. you know, and it's something, a service, if you will, that I provide to sit with people. And after I've had a talk with them, to sit with them in family meetings to have a conversation about what mommy wants or what daddy wants. And they may be afraid to speak what they want because there's kind of concern that if I open my mouth in this and said this, Patrice, all them going to jump down my throat. But maybe they won't if they have a clear understanding why you're making this choice, you know, and if they're sure that you are sure why you're making this choice. Let me tell you, my mother was very clear on what it was that she wanted, very clear on her choices. And like I said, even though for me, there were some things that I kind of challenged her with. Today, I was looking back on a video I made with her throughout the journey. And I was trying to encourage her to go and do something, some therapy. And she said no. You know, she was clear that I understand what my journey is right now, and that's not something that I want part of it. And I know you feel it will help me, but I'm firm in this decision here. You know, and it's not always easy, but people do have a right to choose what they want to do with their bodies, and we have to honor that. You know, so I thank you, Andrea, for bringing up that point about planning for your life now. Anyone else has anything they want to share? We are almost at the hour. I mean, I'm here thinking the time is moving so fast and there's so much we could talk about, but tonight was really just about me wanting you to start thinking about, you know, what it means to have a plan, what that really means for you. I want you to right here think about it. Someone is saying respecting personal, hold on a second, it's moving fast, the chat. Respecting personal autonomy at all stages. Yes, Hillary, indeed. It's not always easy, but you know, in particular when people feel like their bodies, they may not have any control over their bodies, but they have control over their mouth, and I decide I'm not eating, you know, or I decide I'm not speaking. The people still want to feel like they have some autonomy. And I know sometimes as family, we think, you know what's best for your loved one. And so you're going to just say what you need to say and whatever, because you know what's best. But people have a right to choose. Let me see. I certainly see people being afraid of expressing their wishes. Yes, that is true. Good encouragement. We all need this guidance in your book. Well done. Thank you. Thank you for all of that. Everyone, I promised that I wasn't going to keep you on long tonight. Oh, yep, we have someone here willing to speak. I'm letting her in right now. Hello, Sharian, unmute yourself.
Hello, Miss Patrice. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Right. So Patrice, I just want to say congratulations on the launch of your book.
Thank you.
And you know, allowing us to have this opportunity to have this resource, right? I'm really, really proud of you. And what a great way to honor your mom.
Thank you. Full disclosure, Sharian is my cousin, everyone.
Exactly.
But she also wears another hat that's quite important and has seen people go through various stages, the psychologist hat, eh?
Yes, yes. I hear you speak about autonomy, and not having autonomy has such a deleterious effect on one's mental health, right? I'm a clinical psychologist working primarily.
Shari? We lost you. You're on mute. You're muted, Shari. Go again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right. I am a clinical psychologist. King, can you hear me?
Yes, hear you now.
Okay. So I'm a clinical psychologist working primarily with the geriatric population.
Mhm.
And most of my clients struggle with both depression and anxiety. And I find that one of the things that trigger and even maintain their depression and anxiety is usually due to inadequate planning,
Mhm.
right? Inadequate planning for their healthcare, their finances, men,
You're going in and out though, Shari.
preparing or even revising their will, is something that they get very anxious about, very depressed about. However, with the healthcare challenges and the physical limitations and even cognitive deficits that prevent them from being able to have a voice in the decision making, right? And them not having that autonomy just really creates significant mental health challenges, right? So for me, I think this book is just an excellent resource, right? And I just really want to thank you for putting it out there for all of us here on this platform. I find that the information in this book has just so much value, right? And I am now able to make more deliberate and thoughtful decisions about the who, the when, the how, the why, and the what as it pertains to my own healthcare decisions and or my end of life transition. So well done. I'm really, really, really proud of all the work that you put into this book. Thank you.
Thank you, Shari. And I see it's being said here that sounds like we should do a webinar together to discuss this topic. But on a serious note, I really do have a concern in particular for the geriatric population right now, especially, I'm thinking about here in Jamaica. I know around the world there may be a little bit more freedom, but for the last almost 2 years, there have been a number of people in that age group who've had to stay at home, my own father included, and the challenges that have come up since that for them, because I know there's some who I've worked with who tell me that, boy, them pitney feel like say I can't think and make a decision on my own, and in particular right now, with COVID and everything that's going on, I know in an effort to protect our parents, because we've always been taught that as they get older, we become the parent and they become the child. And to a certain extent, that may well be true, but we also do have to respect that they have choices, and it's up to us as well to be able to help them to really think about all of those choices. It's sometimes for various reasons they may not be clear. Like you'll have some elders I know who, for example, they refuse to put anybody else on their bank accounts. They refuse. I've had elders who refuse to even give family member a key to the house because that's how much they really value their autonomy. And sometimes it's just being able to talk to them on a level that, I'm not family, but I can give them a different perspective and say to them, boy, listen, man, I know how you feel, but suppose so-and-so should happen and you get locked into the house. Or, I had that situation happen some years ago with someone that I went to see who was an elder who was at home and nobody else had a key. And she had a situation and was on the floor and couldn't move. And that involved a whole lot of things that had to go down to sort that situation out. So I've seen these things over the years. And like I said, these are the things that kind of led me to start thinking about some of the things that we need to plan about. And we shouldn't wait till our elders get too old before we start trying to have conversations with them. I know that it's not easy to broach a topic with a lot of them, but we have to try and find creative ways. I find one of the ways that can kind of bridge that gap and allow us to have that conversation, like with the animation I showed a while ago with Miss Bell and her children. If you were able to read my Instagram post about it, I was kind of giving a little background to say, well, she called her children to have a conversation because she had recently experienced the death of a friend, a close friend, and it made her start thinking. And in her mind, the way to handle that was to tell them that, hey, anything happens to me, you all just decide what it is that you want done for me. But it still wasn't enough. But one of the ways we can start these conversations is when we see things like that happening. It's an opening, it's an opportunity to say, hey, mama, or dada, or papa, we should really start talking about plans. I am making some plans for me. We should really start making some plans for you as well. So we have to kind of find a way to bridge that gap. And that is what we aim to do with Navigating Health Services. Well, before I go further with that, I see Diane wanting to speak, so I'm going to give her an opportunity. Thank you, Shari.
You are very welcome, Patrice. You are very welcome.
We can talk about that webinar another time.
One more quick thing to add too,
okay.
From a mental health standpoint, is that whatever our loved one or the person who is ill, whatever emotions they experience, family members experience the same emotions as well.
Yeah.
Right? So the same, we talk about anxiety, depression, feelings of helplessness, right? Both family members and the patient experience the same emotions if there is inadequate planning.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Most
so
welcome.
we need to remember that what the anxiety we are feeling because of it, they feel it, and vice versa.
Vice versa. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Diane.
Hi,
welcome.
Patrice, thank you. Can you hear me?
Hearing you loud and clear.
I just want to echo everybody's sentiments to say congratulations on the book. I think it's an excellent resource, and especially for folks who are single with no children. It's definitely, food for thought, lots to think about. And hopefully for those single folks, we'll have, maybe a trusted friend or family member that we can, sort of discuss those wishes with, because I know sometimes we feel like, oh, we don't have any children, so we probably don't have to think about that just yet. But, as we know, life is short and can be untimely. So thanks again. Really excellent resource, and I need to get started on mine as well.
Thank you, Diane, and thank you for your support as always.
You're most welcome.
Wow, guys, the time is upon us. The time is upon us. Is there anything else that you'd like me to share or talk about, on just this idea of understanding what your wishes are and understanding what your loved ones' wishes are? I mean, that's the basic thing I wanted to get across tonight. From very early on in the game, let's talk. We're going to get married. Let's have a conversation about who I am, what I want, in terms of not just what I want you to give me or who want to cook and who want to do that, but just about what do I want for my life, my care, right? It's critical, guys. It's critical for us to have those conversations. I like to talk about team, right? I love to talk about team, in particular while I'm working with individuals. I ask them, who is on your support team or your care team? And on that team, in our families, we kind of have a good idea about the personalities and stuff in our family setup. You need to start thinking about which role, what role each person is going to play in your life with regards to helping you to honor your wishes, right, for your care. And even after that, for your end of life care, all of that. We need to start thinking about who would we want on our team and why, and we need to have conversations with them about how you can support me. Sometimes, I'm having this conversation with people and the same topic here, and it comes up and I hear, well, I hope people can support me and do these things, Them know what I want already. them have an idea about who I am. I say, really, are you sure about that? And I'll give them a scenario just like the one that was on the animation a while ago. And I'll say to them, you know, it is so awesome to know that you have that level of support. But guess what? It's going to be even better if you can guide that support. If you can let them know how you want to be supported. Right? So that's what this is about, guys. It's about you understanding you, right? So that you can guide people on how to support you when you need that support the most. I see people here telling me, thank you for supporting them. You are so welcome, and congrats and thanks for all the support you have given me, Patrice. I love you. Janet, I love you. I'm grateful I was there to give you support. I see my bestie online too. Excellent job, Pat. I love you too. Thank you for supporting me. I thank all of you tonight for supporting me, for coming out, for sitting here for this hour and listening to everything that I had to share tonight. And I'm just encouraging you again, start making those plans. If you need help to do it, I'm here. I'm here to have conversations with you. I'm here to have conversations with your family if needs be. I was saying earlier that, you know, part of our mission here with Navigating Health Services, myself, Latoya, Christine, who was in here earlier, is that we want us to help people to navigate the difficult challenges with regards to your health in particular. We advocate for quality healthcare for all. It's a challenge, people. So many people are suffering. I'm grateful for the people I can call on in times of crisis, for clients I've had. You know, a big shout out to Dr. Spence. I know you've been in here. To be able to call on someone who can help people, all right, to direct people to sources where they can get the support that they need. That's part of what we want to do. We also want to help people to raise their level of health literacy. We have to start knowing about our bodies so we can make decisions about our bodies, yes? So we want to help to raise that level of health literacy. We want people to make informed decisions about their health, right? That's critical, but we don't just want you to make informed decisions about your health. We want you to act on them. Like a lot of people have said here tonight, I've thought about all these things, but you've not acted on them. And so I encourage you tonight to act on those things, right? Someone was asking where they can get the book. It's not online like that yet, people, but I did post and I'm posting it just again, the form that you can order the book and it can be sent to you while we're working on on the online platform for the book to be sold. And you can also, I'm placing a number in the chat, right, for Navigating Health Services, which is the first book that we've published on the Navigating Health Services. And there will be more books that will come out, more material that will come out to help you to make choices and to act on them. That's key. So I see my godmother bigging me up. Thank you, Auntie Bev. I just reposted the link again, Janique. I'm gonna also be putting out now, guys, you'll get the survey afterwards, but thank you so much. If there's anything anybody wants to say, anything pressing that you want to get out there, let me know. Right now is the time to do that. Anything you want to say, let me know. I see people talking about congrats, proud book. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, everyone. It really is an honor for you to be supporting me today. You guys know I love to give support. Sometimes the people that love to give it, not very good at receiving it. But I've been working on it, guys. I've been working on accepting fully all of the love and support that you guys have been throwing my way, right? And I thank you, especially on a day like today. My mother was an educator, you know, that was her passion. She was a teacher, but she was an educator in general. about life and talking to people about life. And I feel like, you know, today is a perfect day to honor her in this way, to share with you guys about life, about your life, you know? So I thank you and I appreciate all of you for taking the time to be here tonight when you could have been doing anything else. You chose to be here with me. Thank you. It's your life, people. It's your life. Do the right thing for you today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If there's nothing else, we're gonna close this off. I'm gonna close it off just by playing the same video that was playing earlier for those of you who didn't get a chance to see it. I'm gonna play it for a while and still allow this chat to run so that you can share if there's anything else that you wanna share. You can do that. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your love and support. Oh, this video is giving me some trouble. Let's see, hold on. Oops. It's giving me some trouble, guys. I'm gonna try again to share. It will allow me to share. Oh, goodness. But thank you so much. If not, I'm gonna share that the video that I shared earlier with Miss Bell and her children.
If anything happens to me, do what you want.
Thank you, guys.
It doesn't matter to me. I leave it to both of you to make the right decision.
Have you decided if you want to put in a feeding tube?
Yes, I think we should.
No, don't do it.
Maybe I should have chosen something. I don't want this feeding tube. I don't want my children fighting each other over me.
It is important to think about your healthcare choices so you can guide your loved ones on how to support you in times of health crisis. Without a plan, you create serious challenges that can impact your quality of life and create rifts in your family as a result. It's Your Life is a workbook that helps you to make a plan so that your will be done and you can maneuver the uncertainties of life and prepare for all outcomes. Get your copy today. Your life could depend on it.
Good night, guys. Thank you.